Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. If you can't tell, it's pretty early in the morning. I just rolled out of bed, just a little past 7 o'clock. Week 2 of the NFL season just concluded last night with the Eagles and Falcons game. Kind of a crazy week. A lot of
hmm
injuries. A lot of teams seems like their season's kind of already unspiraling with some injuries. So it was week 1 was kind of crazy, and week 2 is also crazy, but for different reasons.
No, yeah, the injuries this week are nuts. I mean, you got Tua, obviously, then you got Debo and Cooper Cup, and you already had McCaffrey, you have Pacheco for the Chiefs, and then you have like benching, like Bryce Young got benched. It's not an injury, but that's nuts. So
And you
it's
also saw
already
Justin
all over the
Jefferson and
place.
Amon Ra go down with kind of scary injuries as well. You
hmm
didn't know at the time like what the extent of the injuries were. So yeah, there's a lot of key players that suffered, you know, not season long injuries, but injuries that are going to keep them out for a while. And so there's a lot of teams out there that it's already they have to win this week. So we'll talk about those storylines. We'll also give our week 3 predictions. But I, there's a handful of games this weekend where we were discussing this yesterday. What games we would talk about, and
hmm
the first one we're going to start with. I mean, I think this team is probably the shock of the league so far. Is the Saints? They've scored 40
hmm
points, or at least 40 points in both games, and they won. I mean, Panthers is one thing, but when you do it at Dallas, it's
Yeah.
another. So, and I mean, to be honest, Dallas the last time they played at home, they gave up 40 plus points to the Green Bay Packers. So, is that a trend that and they won't get up 40 each week, but is that something that we should pay more attention to?
I mean, maybe. I mean, overall with the Saints, I predicted them to have the first pick. And now they look like the best offense in football. Derek Carr has like the early MVP talks, which if he wins MVP, that'd just be nuts. They'd have to win like 12 games. But yeah, it's not something I expected much at all. I did not see this coming. The Cowboys look good week 1, so I was pretty high on the
Oh,
Cowboys.
against Cleveland.
Yeah, well, Saints played Panthers, and then Cleveland beat Jacksonville. So, but then it all fell off. I mean, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Kamara was nuts. It was just it's something that was so unexpected. And if the Saints can keep it up, the NFC South is gonna be like, oh, this is actually a lot better than we thought because the Falcons got that big win, Tampa got the big win. So complete shock to me. Complete shock.
Yeah, I've been impressed by the Saints. I think the next 4 weeks are going to be really telling of what type of team they like. I think we're going to figure out a lot about the Saints the next 4 weeks. So they have Philly, Atlanta, Chiefs, and Tampa Bay. That's their next 4 weeks. So I think we'll learn a lot about if this is not a fluke, but I mean they're definitely not going to keep this pace up of scoring 40 points a game. So we'll see in the next few weeks what it looks like because I think people are starting to overreact, saying they're Super Bowl contenders and all that. It's 2 weeks, so I just want to let things play out a little bit. But yeah, Derek Carr in the new offensive scheme, they actually have a real offensive coordinator now, so you can actually see the
hmm
offense actually be a real offense. On the other side of the ball, what's your main takeaway from the Cowboys? Because for me, the Cowboy, what I said before the season, my concerns, it's kind of what played out in this game. One-dimensional offense, no run game. I mean, Bland's out, so the defense is you're down a corner. But the concerns I had for Dallas kind of played out on Sunday.
I think the offense I'm not really concerned about.
You're not
Tolbert had
concerned
a
that they
good
only
game.
have one weapon, really?
Tolbert had a good game, and Cooks had a good game the week before. I mean, they didn't score a ton, but they had chances where they got close. But they're just gunning for it, so they're going for and fourth and missing it. So I'm not really concerned about the offense. I'm concerned that the defense allowed 44 points, but the offense I'm not concerned about. When I was watching it plays, that looked pretty good. I mean, obviously the run game's not great, but you were not in position to really run. So I'm not really concerned about the offense. The defense is the concern here
I
for
mean, yeah,
me.
last 2 home games, you've given up 40 plus points. And that
Yeah,
dates back to last season in the playoffs that they
I
went
was
on the
big
road
on
and
Diggs and
won.
Bland being together. And I mean, you saw both receivers, I think, get 80 plus for the Saints, and Kamara got like 60 something. I mean, it was a lot of screens and stuff, but it worked really well. Carr hit the deep ball. threw a perfect pass to Shaheed. So it's more the defense than the offense, which is interesting.
Next game, we'll shift over to the Buccaneers and Lions. The Buccaneers upset the Lions 20-16. We both had Lions. I had Lions covering the line. I thought, I was totally wrong this week. I thought this week was everything would balance out, and I was totally wrong. Maybe I was a week too early, or maybe we're in for a crazy season. But I was actually very impressed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for me, the Lions, their offense seems to not have found its rhythm yet. And the one major question mark with Jared Goff's game is when you get pressure on him, it affects him greatly. And we kind of saw the Buccaneers able to get some pressure on Jared Goff throughout the game.
No, yeah, I feel like the Lions, I mean, they've come out kind of slow. And I'd be a little concerned. I mean, Goff hasn't looked great. I don't think they're finding a great balance with their weapons of, you know, Laporta hasn't really done much yet. You got to get Laporta involved. And the first game is Amon-Ra Gibbs didn't get a lot done yet. So I think they need to find that balance. I think maybe they're struggling with that a little bit, and that's maybe making Goff overthink. It's just a thought.
I mean, it's a good problem to
There's-
have when you have too many
Yeah.
weapons. You have to balance things out. So
But Tampa, I mean, Baker looks really good. I mean, if we thought they were fluky from last year, I think we could take that away. Their whole secondary was injured, and they still came out, held the Lions to 16. I mean, NFC South, man. Yeah, we're talking about two NFC South teams winning, and the
that's our
Falcons won
first thing
last
we're talking
night.
about. Yeah.
Not what was on my radar at all. So that division should be fun if these teams can at least stay afloat. But big games for each team this week, and I'm looking forward to talking about those briefly. But I mean, both these teams are
You
good.
think the Bucs have a big game this week?
Yes, yes.
I don't.
But
But go ahead.
hey, man, can't act like anything's goofy anymore. With how this year's gone. But I mean, yeah, I had Tampa covering, and I'm not lie, that felt pretty easy to me. And I
The
can't wait.
secondary injuries that's what really
I
because I thought
still
the
felt.
Lions offense would get going, and
I mean,
that paired with
Matt
the
and Aiden Hutchinson didn't turn to Derek Thomas. I mean, he had 5 sacks and still lost. I mean, he
my
looked.
defensive player of the year, Aiden Hutchinson's looking kind of good right now.
Yes, it
Only 2
is.
weeks though.
Yes, it
But it's
is.
looking pretty good.
But both teams are still good. But the Lions need to pick some stuff up. Tampa looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been impressed by Baker Mayfield. I thought that this year they would kind of take a step back, losing Dave Canales, and I thought kind of the expectations would be a little too much for them. But I mean, they've come out of the gates firing. So I'm impressed with Buccaneers, Lions. I think I'm not going to over worry about the Lions. I think some people are out there kind of saying things like being over worried about it. I don't have any worries about the Lions. I think they'll figure it out. They have too much talent. To be honest, this game was a weird game. Like Jared Goff just seemed off, and that was most of that was because of the pressure that he was taking on for most of the game. So I'm not too worried about the Lions though. Long term, I think they'll figure it out.
I have some concerns.
Next game, and this game, I thought, to be honest, the wrong team won this game. I think the Bengals, for the most part, outplayed the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs won because you got fumble recovery, got some favorable calls. The big storyline of this game is Pacheco going out for the foreseeable future with fractured fibula. The Chiefs, I mean, left tackle is definitely going to be a question mark. I mean, you saw Kingsley Samatia get benched. Wanya Morris came in. Trey Henderson really wrecked the game for the Chiefs offense. And the Chiefs offense really did not look that great. I mean, Mahomes probably played one of his worst games, if not his worst game of his career. So what was your kind of main takeaway from this game?
I mean, it's just that the Chiefs figure out how to get it done. It's just what they do. At this point, through 3 Super Bowls and 4 appearances and 5 title games, whatever the
6.
numbers are.
Or no, it's
6.
6. It's every year Mahomes has played.
Yeah, 6. I mean, they just get done. You have Mahomes, you have Andy Reid, you have Chris Jones. Get the job done, and that's what we've seen time and time again. I think the Bengals had a good game, and even though they lost, I take their game as a positive. Even though they play the Chiefs well, they're like, hey,
Oh, for sure.
we're still like our usual selves. We just had a bad game. But yeah, the Chiefs, it's real losing Pacheco sucks. Chiefs fan, that sucks. Everyone loves Pacheco. Carson Steele, I like Carson Steele. We'll see what he does, or if they bring Kareem Hunt, and then what Pirine does. But overall, I really don't. As a Chiefs fan, it's like they'll figure it out. It's what they do. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine too. It's just like losing Pacheco.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
does
the run
suck.
game's going to be, and the thing is, like the passing offense. I mean, Marquise Brown's not coming back. Travis Kelsey has been really slow out of the gates.
Hmm.
If the Chiefs have to lean on the pass game more, I don't think it's necessarily going to mean more success. And that's kind of weird to say with a Patrick Holmes led offense of saying they're going to struggle. But like Pacheco in that run game, the pass game really feeds off of that. So I'm curious to see how that affects the offense as a whole. But Bengals, like I'm not worried about the Bengals at all. I'm still confident that they can win that division, and they were my division pick before the year. I for me, I mean Joe Burrow looked pretty healthy that game, and
Yeah,
T Higgins will be back. I think this upcoming week. Jamar Chase, I mean, they should have paid Jamar Chase. It seems like he's already steaming about not getting his money. I mean, his
yeah,
reaction on the field is, I think that's gonna be a season long thing because they didn't pay him. But
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that.
yeah, but for me, the Bengals, I'm not too worried about them. Chiefs, I think run game and left tackle is probably the biggest question mark going forward because
Hmm.
Samatia got just wrecked by Hendrickson. So that's gonna be a storyline I think to watch. And I mean, the Chiefs, I think they got through the first two games, beat two AFC North teams that we think are really good teams in this league. So I mean, before the season, if you told me Chiefs were 2-0, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, but it's also like this. It's good that they did this. Now their schedule after 2 weeks, like before the season, it was like once you get through these 2 weeks, it kind of lightens up. But after looking at the schedule now, after 2 weeks, I mean, there's some good teams coming up on that schedule. But yeah, I like the Chiefs going forward. I still think the Bengals will figure things out. They do. I think this is the third straight year they've started 0-2, so I'm not overly concerned about the Bengals at all.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, Joe Burrow's wrist is always going to be a thought, and it looked good today. Will it look good next week? That's really the question.
Yeah. Next game we'll stay in the AFC North. The Ravens, man, they really self-imploded this game. I mean, they never had full control of the game. I think at one point they were up by 10 at one point, but like they never looked like a team that had a control of a game where they should have been dominating. I mean, the Raiders are not a good football team. And from the
I
Ravens'
mean,
concerns I had before the year, losing defensive player. Well, Raiders they have talent. They have talent.
yeah,
I think they're very talented. But the Ravens' concerns I had before the year, this also played out. Losing defense coordinator, losing key defensive players. Their defense was not good, especially in that
mhm.
fourth quarter. They blew that game. And Lamar was not that sharp. Derrick Henry kind of took a while to get going, and they have a big game this week. We'll talk about that too. How concerned are you about the Ravens?
There's a solid amount of concern, and for me, it's not as much the defense. I think that's one of those performances where the defense is playing well, and then there's so many possessions, and the Raiders got it going. I mean, okay, the Raiders' weapons. Told you they're good, man. Brock Bowers is a
No,
stud.
I never said they were
Devontae
bad.
Jacoby.
Quarterback was the only issue I had.
But Gardner had a good game to end, and that's kind of what I envisioned happening throughout the year. But I did pick Ravens as my survivor pool team, so those are dead.
It was a rough week if you were betting or like anything with like betting or survivor pools. Not a good
Yeah,
week.
unless you're. I mean, I saved myself at the end, but it was tough out there. But that offense line is my main concern. I mean,
That too.
you have to be able to run the ball. You have Derrick Henry and Lamar,
Well,
and
and go ahead. Go ahead.
but I mean, he was like, wasn't it like He had like 7 carries for 5 yards at one
Yeah,
point.
that was like end
It's
of the
like,
first half. I think that was his line.
that's unacceptable. I mean, I know this line is new and young, and I know the Raiders have a couple studs, and I think that's really going to be their problems when they face defensive line with game wreckers, especially I mean, Raiders have like, I consider Max Crosby a game wrecker, and then Wilkins like 60% of a game wrecker. I think there's like,
Well,
I don't
they
know.
faced Micah Parsons this week.
Yeah, he's a game wrecker. I mean, Cowboys don't have like a second one or anyone who's like as good as Christian Wilkins. So that could be something. So run away from Micah. But if you're not going to block and if you're not going to run the ball, you're not going to be that good of a team this year. And I mean, I know it's 2 weeks, but I think I've determined that the Ravens they're not a playoff lock. And
No,
there's not many playoff locks. I feel like the Chiefs are a playoff lock. I'm just thinking the AFC. Um, the Bills are getting
you probably put
close.
the Bills. I think you put the Bills as a playoff lock
Yeah,
because
they
that
look
division right now is if the Jets don't look that great.
and they're
Patriots. I mean,
playing.
Patriots have
I
been
love how
impressive,
they're
but they're
playing.
not going to. And then Miami. Well, I think their season may be kind of already over if
Yeah,
Tua can't come
Miami's
back.
having a rough go of it,
So
and
yeah, I
they
would
have
say
injuries
Bills are a
coming in.
lock. Uh,
Texans, yeah.
Texans are locked. They already
So
have a
you
two-game
have,
lead on.
I think you have 3 teams who are locks, and the final division and the final 4 teams. It could go any way. So Ravens missing the playoffs. That'd be
I
another.
almost had that in my like. I
That would have been
almost
a
had them
bold
not making the
pick.
plus, but so two things. One, the offense is way too predictable. Like whenever Derrick Henry's in the game, you know they're running.
Yes, that's a big
Whenever
problem.
Justin Hill's in the game, you know they're passing. And secondly, back to the defense. So last year the Ravens had 2 total games where they gave up 25 points or more. They've already done that this year. Like I think the defense is a problem, and I know you're not panicking yet on that. I'm not panicking either. But you lose a bunch of stars and you lose your defense coordinator. Their defense coordinator seems like he doesn't really know what he's doing yet. It's his first time taking over a defense, and maybe it'll take time to finally materialize. But they don't really. I don't think you can afford to take a lot of time to figure things out at this point, especially if you lose this upcoming week. You're 0-3. I mean, you're already going up an uphill battle. So I don't know. The Ravens, to me, I'm very concerned, and I agree with you. I don't think they're a lock to make the playoffs by any means. And Lamar doesn't look that sharp. The weapons, I mean, it's Zay Flowers. I mean, Mark Andrews will be Mark Andrews. We'll see Isaiah Likely, but I don't know the Todd Monken's offense. I mean, we've seen this almost every stop he's had, where first year looks good, and the second year the league kind of figures him out. So, if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm very concerned that this is not going to turn around, or that you're going to miss the playoffs down the road. So, and then Raiders what is there anything to take away from the Raiders? I mean,
If
Brock
they get
Bowers.
if they get good
Or
quarterback play, they can beat anyone in any game. Yes.
like what? How high do you rank Bowers in terms of like tight ends right now? Like, is he already in that top
I mean, here's the
5-ish?
thing. Like, if we're talking. This is okay. Do I really want to say?
I mean, it's only 2 weeks, so
I know, but when you're a rookie and you go out and you get 58 and 98, and you have 15 catches on 17 targets for 2 weeks, and he was already like very. I mean, you can make an argument he's like better than Kelsey now, but that's early. Not gonna
that
say
is
that yet.
well, I won't say it yet. But
Like Kelsey, obviously Kelsey, you're saying that with him having a regression of age, but he's up there with like
okay, Brock Bowers or Laporta.
Laporta for now, but it could be 5 weeks. Next, there's a chance Bowers is like a top 3 tight end, but I'm not gonna say it yet. But I'll say Laporta for now.
McBride.
I think McBride's better than Laporta. I think McBride is a little
I think
underrated.
McBride's really good. I think he's underrated as well. But
It's
yeah, I
like,
think
but
it's just
people like, but like Njoku, give me
oh,
Bowers.
give me Bowers. I would take. That's not a conversation for me.
Kittle's looking good, so he has experience. What are Kittle's stats? I'm just checking real quick. Yeah, Kittle's had been pretty solid. So that'd be early. I'm just looking more down the line. Um, I mean, I'm taking Bowers over Pitts.
Well, yeah, Pitts had like I think there was one point in the fourth quarter last night. He had like one catch for 1 yard.
I know he's hurt, but Hawkinson.
I'd take Bowers.
I think if Hawkinson were healthy, I'd still take Hawkinson, but it'd be like Laporta, where it's like in a few weeks. He's definitely already like a top 8 tight end. I mean, the Baltimore tight ends.
I mean, Mark Andrews hasn't really looked sharp yet. I would take him over likely. I mean,
Yeah,
I would probably take him over Mark Andrews. And maybe that's a pretty mature
Kincaid.
conversation. Similar skill set. I mean, they're both very similar players, both primarily receiving tight ends.
Bowers is a better blocker.
I mean, there's a reason why Bowers was the top 12 pick.
And like he could have been higher.
Yeah.
I mean, because the Raiders really
that
didn't
one
need
that was
him,
probably
but he was just so
that
good
one
they
you
took
brought
him.
up. That one you brought up with Kincaid. That's probably the toughest one for me to decide on because I think they're very similar players.
So I think the only players who you can say are better than him, like you could like Kincaid, Andrews, Laporta, McBride, Kelsey, Kittle. Is there anyone else you can? And Hawkinson, because Hawkinson was really good last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be something. We'll talk about just a second, but that's gonna be something. Yeah. So he's like a top 8 tight end already, and we could be leaving the year and be like, is he the best tight end in football? Because we really don't really have a number 1 tight end in football right now because Kelsey is not doing much, and so it's kind of really up for grabs. And I think it could be like a McBride Bowers type of battle. I think McBride is really good. I love McBride.
Yeah, back to we kind of went on a side tangent there, but the Raiders, for me, I think the Raiders are quarterback away. So I'm not going to take them seriously yet by any means because they don't have that quarterback. Minshew, you kind of saw the whole Gardner Minshew experience in that game. Throws a bad pick, takes bad sacks, and then in the fourth quarter he plays really well. But I don't think he's going to be consistent enough for this team to string together.
Their schedule is so interesting.
Well, what's their next
Carolina, Cleveland, Denver, Pittsburgh, Rams, and who knows what the Rams are going to be at that point.
Oh yeah, okay. Go back to I should have brought this up when we were talking about the Bengals, but look at the Bengals schedule real quick. Look, there's 3 of their next 4 games. It's
Washington, Carolina, Baltimore, Giants, Cleveland.
They're going to figure things out.
I have no idea what to make of Cleveland. By the way, I don't know.
I have the same feelings.
There's a lot of stuff. I just
Deshaun looked really good first quarter, and after that is the same old Deshaun.
I think it's the Cleveland and Raiders. Where it's like I think they're the same. Where it's just like, how's the quarterback going to play? You don't know, and that's kind of determines everything. That's tough, but yeah, that's why the playoffs are going to be interesting because then you still have teams like the Jets. I mean, I don't expect New England to stay and keep up like this, but Baltimore, Cincinnati are each 0-2. Colts and Jacksonville are 0-2. I mean, are either of those two going to make a comeback?
Well, we didn't talk about Jacksonville, but I think they lose their next 2 games. They got Bills and Houston.
See, remember how I'm not big on schedules? Schedules become more important, even though I'm still not huge on them because look at last week and all the upsets. But the more you figure stuff out. And yeah, that's tough. But they do get to play Colts, Bears, New England. No one's great there.
The thing concerning about the Jaguars, the games they lost were 2 home games. You're now on the road. Was Miami on the road?
Miami was on the road.
Okay, well that's basically home. I mean, it's not a home game, but you're at Buffalo, right? And aren't you?
Yeah, and then you're at Houston.
That's why. And I know you thought it was dumb, and maybe I should have labeled it as a must win, but that's the reason why I said
that was the one team.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville was a team I said is the closest to a must win. But you could still beat Buffalo, and then you're 1-2, and you're like, dang, you beat a good team. But they were the closest to a must-win.
I think they're in trouble. Like I think
No, yeah,
Doug
I thought I
Peterson.
didn't like them before the year.
Oh, I didn't either. Like
Dougie
we've
P
seen this from
probably
every
gonna get
Doug Peterson
fired.
team. They always play like his best year with them is like the first or second year, and then it just goes downhill from there. And that's what we saw that in Philly. We're seeing that in Jacksonville as well. So I don't think they're a playoff team. We'll see. I mean, these next 2 weeks will be telling if they get a win out of those two, maybe they can recover. But I don't know.
I mean,
Their
Trevor
offense
Lawrence has completed 51% of his passes.
and no, they're 26th in the league in scoring. They're averaging 15 points a game. Like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they don't have a great weapon.
I think Brian
Are
Thompson's going to be really good. But
Yeah,
he's
but
a rookie.
I mean, he's a rookie. I would go all in on him. I'd be like, make or break our offense.
Yeah. Let's move on to our last game that we're going to discuss. Minnesota Vikings, San Francisco 49ers. We both picked the 49ers. We had Vikings covering.
Mm-hmm.
But 49ers offense looks completely different without Christian McCaffrey, and now you lose Debo for a few weeks. 49ers health, that was a concern of mine also before the season. And you have all these players playing a lot of snaps, going through multiple NFC Championship games in consecutive years. The wear and tear kind of seems like it's taking a toll on the 49ers. And I don't know, I'm a bit concerned about 49ers as well. I still think they'll be a playoff team because I think Rams are falling apart. I do like Seattle, and then we'll see. Arizona I think is a frisky team, but I don't know. I'm a bit worried about the 49ers and Vikings. I mean, our bet before the season's not looking too good for me.
Someone said it. Logan,
Yeah.
that the final drive, have you seen that throw to Naylor where he like kind of sealed it?
To be honest, we were watching so much football. Like there's so much going. I didn't see. I
It
probably should
was
have
a
been watching, but I didn't see it.
crazy throw. It was
No, Sam
Naylor was
Darnold. He's got some arm talent,
and
there's some real talent there.
they have a good head coach who Ken O'Connell, coach of the year. I feel good about that one. I know it's 2 weeks. I feel good about it. That final drive that he sealed it was without Jefferson, without Addison, without Hawkinson. It was with Naylor and Trent Sherfield and Powell. And so just on the first, I really like the Vikings. I mean, their defense held up in big moments. You got 4 sacks, and it's kind of you got 5 sacks, and it's kind of spread out. Pat Jones II has 2 sacks in each game for them. Don't really know much about Pat Jones II, but 2 sacks in each game. I mean, Jefferson, they say he should play. Addison, I assume he's coming back soon because there's never really IR talk. I mean, Ty Chandler had a good game. I mean, so Aaron Jones had a good game week 1. Week 2 is Ty Chandler. So I really like the Vikings. Obviously, I think they could be – I think they have a legit shot at the division, but I still want to pick that. But I also don't feel bad about the Niners. I mean, they had like a 4th and goal they barely missed. They had a 4th and 2 on like the Vikings 35 they missed. So they had some missed opportunities. Obviously, losing Debo hurts, but like you're still running the ball well.
You're still running the ball well, but McCaffrey, there's an element that McCaffrey adds to his offense, and I don't know when he's going to be back.
I agree, but I think they're going to be okay.
Like to be honest, if McCaffrey's never able to play,
no,
I don't want to say that they're not a Super Bowl contender, but I mean they didn't win the Super Bowl with McCaffrey. Like
obviously,
I think the loss of McCaffrey
contender.
is a big deal. Like Jordan Mason is a good back, and you can really put any back in the system. But what McCaffrey, because you're kind of seeing like Brock Purdy. I thought Brock Purdy played better in week 1 than week 2. The stats aren't going to show that. He threw for over 300 yards in this game. But there are times where he kind of struggles because he doesn't have that safety valve of McCaffrey in the backfield. I mean, I think he had 2 turnovers this game. Like the stats are going to tell you.
He had a pick and a fumble.
The stats are going to tell you that Purdy played better in week 2, but I thought for the most part he kind of struggled in this one. I mean, there were
it wasn't a great game by him, but they
throws,
still.
But McCaffrey opens up so much for this offense, and Ayuk, I don't know. I mean, now that Debo's out, he's really gonna have to step up, and we'll see if he can get his conditioning. I mean, he's not conditioned yet. He's been staying out all offseason. How long is that going to take?
They have 2 easy
Now, lucky
games.
for the 49ers, they play the Rams this week, so
Yes.
they'll win. Their schedule's pretty light. But in the big picture, I am worried about the 49ers health wise, and if McCaffrey can't. I mean, they already said he's gonna be out at least 6 weeks, or that's an expectation. And there's a chance that this never recovers or just lingers and kind of hampers his ability to play. So, 49ers big picture for me, I am concerned about like their Super Bowl aspirations and all that. But I still think they can still win the division. I think it'll be between them and the Seahawks. I'll give them the edge. Don't get too
Seahawks,
upset.
Logan,
But
they just haven't been impressive yet. And if you want to talk about Purdy stats, Geno Smith's
no,
stats
yeah.
are a complete liar. They had 3 points in the second half.
No, I know. But
It was
I
late.
still have the point. I right now, like if we made like it's not even mid-season, but like if we had to flip picks. I mean, Rams are too injured now, so I probably got
Rams are brutalized. I still think the Cardinals are. I would easily
Cardinals
take
are
Cardinals
frisky.
over
Like that.
Seahawks. I think
The
they're
only
easily
concern about
better than
the
Seattle.
Cardinals is that defense, and I know they shut down the Rams, but I mean, defensively they're still pretty weak up front. And
But I'd take them over Seattle pretty easily.
okay, yeah, that's something. Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I get what you're saying.
Back with Niners, I assume McCaffrey's going to come back and be okay, and Debo, and so long term, I'm still fine with them. They face Rams and then New England, so the odds are they're 3-1.
The schedule's they catch a break with their schedule,
and then they face Arizona and Seattle. So then, if they win those games,
where are those two games, by the way?
At
Arizona.
LA, but I really don't think that
No,
matters.
No. The Cardinals and Seattle games.
Home against Arizona at Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle's a Thursday night, so that'll be an interesting one. And then they have 2 home games against Chiefs and Dallas. That's good to be home for those.
And Chiefs are off a bye that game too. So that's.
So that'll be. I still feel fine about the Niners. They're lucky that they get 2 games, which they should win. They're facing a Rams team, which is way more hurt than they are. So I think it's okay with them, and I think this just shows the Vikings are possibly even a better team than I thought. And Sam Darnold looking good. O'Connell, Coach of the Year. I feel so good about that.
Who is the Vikings backup quarterback? I'm curious, just in case, something.
Mullins.
Okay.
He can win a game or 2, depending.
Yeah, but you don't want him starting.
Obviously. But that'll be, let's say like the Vikings pull out the division somehow. It's like then you're gonna have this weird. It's Sam Darnold wins a playoff game.
I think that's such an overreaction after 2 weeks.
No, I'm throwing a huge hypothetical, but it'll go to McCarthy, but the Sam Darnold McCarthy convo will be a little fun.
Wait, what do you mean?
If
next year?
Sam Darnold just has this he wins a playoff game and the division or something like that, and then they're like, are we going to get rid of...
So let me look at Minnesota's schedule real quick. Because I remember
it's a little tough coming up, but
yeah, that's why
not too tough, really.
Well, it really depends if Jordan Love is healthy by that time. But you have Houston, which that'll be a.
They haven't looked fantastic yet, but yeah.
I mean I know it's against Chicago and Chicago's off the line, but that defense, that pass rush is so good.
No, yeah, but I think that's very good game.
I mean, it looked way more daunting before the season because you had Houston. Green
that's
Bay,
my whole point with
Rams.
schedules.
Rams don't.
That's my whole point with why I don't care about schedules that much. This people are talking about they're going to be 1-6. It's really? They already won 2 games, and I see some games here where I think they're better than a lot. So that's Logan why I just don't value the schedule, because 1 win flips it completely, and injury team, and yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on this game before we go into our week 3 predictions? All right,
Sam Darnold stays healthy. I'm winning that bet. That'll be my final point. I'm winning.
Yeah, I need Caleb Williams to. Well,
I told you, rookie Caleb Williams is going to take time.
It's also Shane Waldron is a terrible OC. I should have. like Jay said, like the comments before the season, like, did he like Shane Waldron? He was like, he's a nice guy.
I
So
told you it was going to take Caleb time.
yeah, and hopefully that time starts this week. But I don't know. It's we'll see. That bet I was very confident in for the season. Now I don't know. I'm teetering. Are you ready for week 3 predictions?
Yep. Do we want to go over our record? So I have my record on money line
To be
and
honest,
spread.
I totally forgot to write mine down. I was gonna remember it.
Oh.
How about this? After this week, I'll. Okay, actually, what is your record? I'm curious.
So money line, I'm 8-8 for last week, which honestly I'm okay with after what that was. But spread, I'm 9-6-1.
Okay, so I should have written these down, but yeah, I should have written these down. I'll go back and spreads. I was definitely just not right on because I had a lot
No,
of teams
I
covering.
did pretty good on spreads.
Money lines. I actually think I did pretty well, but spreads, I butchered it on the spreads. So
I mean, you probably didn't do much better than me. We agreed on a lot of money lines.
well, money line. So I had like the Jets winning. I
Yeah, but
had
so did I. You
I
had
had the Chiefs
Commanders winning.
winning.
I had Giants.
No. We both had Giants.
Oh, well then you're still looking bad because we agreed on a lot of money lines.
I had Chiefs winning. I had Texans winning. I had Steelers winning.
Did we disagree on a money line?
I had Seattle winning.
I had
Did you have
Seattle.
Patriots win? Okay. We both had Jacksonville.
I had Patriots covering.
Okay, did you? Okay, I'm curious. Did you have Panthers covering?
Yeah.
Okay, that I got that one. Like that one was such a slam dunk for me. That was. I think money lines we were similar, and I'll go back and
Yeah,
write down.
I literally don't know
But
money line and we disagreed on.
but spreads definitely was not a good week for me.
Mm.
All right, let's move into week 3. Another interesting week. This week there's a lot of weird games this week, and a lot of games where it's like two teams are 0-2 against each other, 2-0 against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start the Thursday night game. Patriots at Jets. Jets minus 6.5.
So the 6.5 I still think is a lot. I got Patriots covering plus 6.5, but I do have Jets money line. And I feel pretty solid about that. I just think Patriots are playing well, Jets playing okay. They should be relatively close.
Yeah, I agree. I have Jets winning, but I don't think they cover. The offense to me, I'm watching a 40-year-old quarterback play. Like he's checking the ball down constantly.
I mean, he made some nice throws. He made a couple.
He did
make
make some nice throws in situations where throws had to be made, and that's kind of what you're going to see the upgrade over Zach Wilson and other quarterbacks. Is that situationally he's going to be much better, but I haven't been really impressed by the Jets offense, and that I thought he would elevate this offense more. It's the reason why I picked him to win the division because that defense is really good. But I don't know. I've not been impressed by Aaron Rodgers in that offense, and it'll take time, I think. But it's also going to be tough to turn around when you have Nathaniel Hackett OC. Mm-hmm. So, well, we agree on that one. I wonder if this is going to continue to be a trend. Next game, Giants at Browns. Browns minus 6.5. And these over-unders are also really ugly. I mean, this one's 38.5. And the last one was 37.5.
That's a lot of points for a team where I don't even know if they're good. The Giants lost Commanders, a bad defense, but, I mean, they should have won. Malik Neighbors dropped that 4th and 4. He was having such a great game. He dropped it, and you just knew Washington was going to go kick a field goal. But I don't trust the Browns enough yet. So I got Browns money line, but I have Giants covering. Literally the same. First 2 games, exact same thing.
So I have I have Cleveland winning. I have them covering. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to throw. My prediction is he'll throw another pick 6 this game. He was clean for one game, but against Washington, anybody can.
And they didn't have a so Graham Gano got hurt. They had 3 touchdowns and 18 points. So the Giants left a lot out there too. They should have won that game. Even though I guess,
okay, would you view Cleveland or Minnesota? Which defense is better? Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Dan Jones was
Okay, but
terrible.
that's not how the NFL works.
I'm gonna say Cleveland's defense carries. And I think
That's
this could
not
be a
how
blowout.
football works.
I'll take Cleveland plus and the points. And like the Giants next, and I'll make this quick point, but like I'm gonna read you their schedule, and you tell me how many games you think they're gonna be favored in the
Probably
next like
not a
4
lot.
weeks. At Cleveland, they're not favored. Versus Dallas, they won't be
Yeah.
favored. At Seattle, and Seattle destroyed Giants last year when they played. I don't think they'll be favored. Versus the Bengals, no. Versus the Eagles, no. At Pittsburgh, I don't think so. Like
I mean,
this is
yeah,
gonna be a
but
rough.
look who was favored last week. You
Oh
don't
yeah, of course, yeah.
things
It's a
change like
lot of
that,
looking ahead.
man.
But I like their next 6 games.
They could win this game and then they're 1-2 and they have a solid win.
Next game, and this could be another ugly game. I mean, dear lord. Packers at Titans. Titans minus 2.5, and the over under is 36.5. We have not talked about a game that's eclipsed over 40 points on the over under.
I have Titans in this one. You know, their defense is definitely better than people thought. The offense Will Levis needs to get better. I think he was better in week 2 than he was in week 1. And Titans are facing their former quarterback, so they kind of know him. I think the Titans have let 2 games slip by, and I just don't think they're letting a third one slip by. I think the Packers got a lot of Malik Willis, like the simple stuff, but now there's a week on him, and he's facing his former team who knows him. So I like Titans pretty solid here. I like Titans here.
I like Titans here as well, but I'm out on Will Levis. The recklessness, I'm done with that. We saw this with Carson Wentz, and it derailed his career.
Yeah, he needs to chill on that. I do think
I'm
he has
I'm
a
I'm
head
out.
coach who
I'm
will
out
stop
on
him.
Will, and I think his head coach is almost out on him. I mean, just like listen to his comments and all that the last 2 weeks. It's pretty telling that he's losing patience with them. He'll say it's starter because they don't really have anybody else there. But like if they had a competent backup, I think there'd be real conversations of almost shifting over to him at some point here in the near future because of he's costing them games.
I think it's good that their head coach is like this. They need a head coach to be like, "Hey, dude, okay, this is too much. You're not Patrick Mahomes." But I do like him this week.
It's so like I think I'm going to take Tennessee, but I can definitely see this where I'm wrong on this, and Green Bay finds a way to win this game. Like Will Levis made his cost this game. Next game, Bears at Colts. The Colts are favored by 1.5, and the over under 42.5.
This was a tough one, but I think I have the Colts in a bounce back. I think with Anthony Richardson, you got to kind of call your shot which games he'll play well. I know it's a tough defense, but there's not a ton of logic in this one. It's just I got the Colts in a bounce back. I think it'll be an ugly game, but I think he'll make 1 or 2 more plays than Caleb. He'll get it done.
I'm gonna take Bears in this one just because of their defense. Like their defense has been their defense won them week 1, and their defense kept them in week 2. I just don't trust Richardson right now, so I'm not going to back Richardson until I see it, and I don't think he's gonna turn things around against a really good defense this week. So, and I actually really like the value of the Bears, like betting wise, game plus odds for the Bears in this spot. Richardson's just he's not consistent enough right now, and I think it's gonna like I'm not going to give up on Richardson because he was raw out of college. He only played 4 games last year. It's just going to take time, but I don't know. The Colts I think they fall to 0-3, and there's going to be some real question marks surrounding that team heading into week 4.
I mean, I have Colts, but I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it.
Next game, Texans at Vikings. Texans are favored by 2.5.
I got the Vikings. Pulling this win. I think that they're playing better. I don't think in general they'll be the better team long term, but they're playing better. They'll have Jefferson, I think. I think Darnold's feeling it. I think the Texans kind of had 2 close games. I think they're going to have another close game, and then they're going to fall short here. And I think it'll be a good moment for the Texans to then really pick it up in week 4. The Vikings are playing really good football. I really like what they're doing. I think that the talent is kind of close, and Yeah, it'll be a close game, but I think Sam Darnold gets it done. Sam Darnold.
This is another game where I love the value. I'm going to take the Texans and the points. I think they can win by at least 3. I'm not discounting anything you said about the Vikings. I think Houston, for me, I know they weren't great on Sunday night, but I think they're also playing a really good defense. And Vikings have been playing well defensively as well. But I'm going to trust CJ Stroud in this one. They have way too many weapons. If Joe Mixon is out, that will affect the offense to an extent. But I still think Houston has too many weapons offensively. Defense is solid. I think it's gonna be a really good game. Like I'm not gonna say anything that you're saying is
I just don't think they
misleading or anything
figured
like
out
that.
the offense yet with Diggs. I mean, Nico Collins has over
Nico's
half
the
the
one, by the
receiving
way.
yards, and he's a stud, but he should not have over half the yards. That's too much.
But the thing is, I think from week to week, you're gonna see things kind of bounce out in that offense.
But I don't.
Like
It hasn't balanced out yet, is what I'm saying.
well, like about I like the Texans in this spot, but I think it's gonna be a really good game.
Dell
But
and Diggs have 107 combined yards receiving.
yeah, I think they'll figure things out. Next game, and this one's very interesting. Eagles at Saints. Saints -1.5. Eagles should be 2-0, but Nick Sirianni's situationally terrible call last night.
Yeah, that was bad. That was
And
bad.
I'm surprised they didn't go for it. Like I thought they were going to go for it, and I would have gone for it. To be quite honest with you, in that spot, just go win the game.
I think you thought the defense wouldn't let hobbled Kirk Cousins drive
Like
down
they
that
went for on
fast.
4th and 4 earlier in the game in a similar spot. Like I was shocked they didn't go for it, and I would have gone for it.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. I mean, Saquon, though, to Nick Sirianni's benefit or doubt or whatever the phrase is, I mean, the first down was right there.
I realize that, but just my thing is,
And you're okay, but you're also trusting your best player.
no, I
He's
realize
kind of
that,
your
but
best.
just hand the ball off to him, and if it doesn't, you have the tush push for a reason. Try to pick up a couple yards.
I don't hate it as much as other people hate it. I mean,
And
he had
Atlanta
it.
had no timeouts. Even if
No,
like
yeah,
just run
but
the 40 seconds off the clock.
he
I thought
tried
it was
to
a
end
terrible
it
call.
right there. You threw the ball to your running back, who's a stud, but Saquon does have a drop issue.
I
think
would be more on your side if Eagles ended up going for it on 4th down. Like I would be more on your side, but they didn't go. They didn't go for the win after that. They play passive.
I mean, that's a fair, but it was right there in your best player's hands, and he dropped the ball. But moving on from that, the Saints are 2-0. We talked about them. I think this will be a good game, and I think it'll be down to the wire. But I think in the end, the Eagles are more talented. I think they just came back off. They're coming off a stupid loss. So I got the Eagles winning, but it's another game which is like it wouldn't be high on my list of games to bet.
I have the Saints in this one, and for me, it's because AJ Brown last night said he's gonna be out. If AJ Brown's out this game, I'm taking Saints. If he's playing, I'll take Eagles. But right now, at this point, we don't know, so I'm gonna take Saints in this one. And so, it's kind of a shocking pick for myself because I'm high on the Eagles, and I was high on the Eagles and everything. But for me, if there's no AJ Brown, this offense. I mean, last night the offense did not look that great. It was
It
kind of
looked
Jalen Hurts
okay.
running. It looked okay, but most of the time it was Jalen Hurts running around making plays that weren't scripted. So
No, yeah,
they need AJ Brown in this offense. So I have the Saints winning this one.
Devontae Smith was good. I'd expect a good Goddard week because I'm picking this without Brown as well. I think they'll bounce back.
Like my opinion, like if Brown plays, I'm flipping my pick. So, but right now we don't know if he's playing or not. So I had the Saints. Next game, and man, this is another interesting game. Chargers at Steelers. Both teams are 2-0. One of them will be 3-0, barring a tie. Pittsburgh -2. The over-under is 35.5. Is that the lowest over-under this week? It is. It's the lowest over-under this week.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers. The Pittsburgh's played 2 games in which they, I still don't think Justin Fields has been great. He hasn't turned over the ball really, but they hit 13 points against the Broncos. So Broncos threw a pick in the end zone. It was a bad pick. I think Bo Nix is going to develop. I got Chargers here. I just think their offense can be more consistent than the Falcons and Denver's was. I think that they have some success in the passing game, and the running game is really good. It'll be ugly, but give me Chargers.
Yeah, I like the Chargers too. I mean, you think the Steelers are the best defense in the league, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're not, but I also think you played a hampered, injured Kirk Cousins, and then you played Bo Nix. They're a really good defense, but now you're going to be playing an actual quarterback this week that's fully healthy. Well, not fully healthy, but Justin Herbert's. I
Jim
think
Harbaugh is going to have a good game plan in the running game.
if you notice, the Chargers defense has been really solid, and I know they played Carolina and the Raiders, but I mean the Raiders dropped 26 on the Ravens, and Chargers held them 10 points. Jim Harbaugh, this is the reason why I like them as a playoff team. He's changing the culture, and you're actually seeing them playing complementary defense. So I'll take the Chargers this one as well. I think I'm curious to see how the run game is against this Steelers front. But Quinn Johnson's looked really solid the first 2 weeks. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Ladd McConkey's good in the middle of the field. I like the Chargers one. It'll be an ugly game, but I'll take Chargers, and I don't trust Justin Fields to keep protecting the ball the way he is. I think it's the first week we see a turnover from Fields, so I'll take Chargers.
Yeah, one. I agree. I like Chargers here.
Next game, Broncos at Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are -7, and the over and under is 39.5. So Vegas does not expect Broncos to score a lot in this game.
So you already know this. This is my upset of the week. I got Denver, man. And now, is this fully logical? No. But
not at all.
Is this season fully logical? No.
But of all teams, is your upset pick?
You could have said that about the Raiders last week. I think that Bo Nix had good moments and bad moments. I think he's faced Seattle, a solid defense. I don't think Seattle's that great, though. And then he faced there's not a better defense he'll face on his schedule than Pittsburgh. I think they're clearly the best defense in football. I don't think that's really up for debate. I mean, Mike Tomlin, their pass rush is nuts, secondary's nuts. It's all nuts. But they also are kind of in this game. And their defense, I know it's Steelers, but they're pretty solid. And I think Tampa had a weird win against the Lions. And so I think it's a law of averages type of deal. And Denver wins.
That's what I said last week.
But I'm not talking about every game. I'm talking about this matchup. And I think Denver pulls off the upset here. It's not fully logical. I'm not going to give you the most logical explanation. I sense it.
Yeah, we're untold up because you have Broncos winning. I have Buccaneers winning and covering. If this was in Denver, I would understand your argument slightly more. Still not at all, but it's slightly a little bit more if it was at Denver. It's at Tampa. I have seen nothing from the Broncos offense that implies they're going to be Bo Nix started 61 games of college, and he looks absolutely over his head right now. And it's going to take time. It's a rookie quarterback, but the game looks way too fast for him right now, and I don't think he's going to figure things out on the road against Buccaneers defense. What are you saying?
Tampa has 2 sacks this year. I think that'll be something. He'll be more protected, get more comfortable.
We'll see. They got good pressure on Jared Goff this past week, and Bo Nix is more mobile than Jared Goff, but they got some pretty good pressure on Jared Goff. I like Buccaneers and the spread this week. I think they'll take care of business. Next game, Panthers at Raiders. Raiders -5.5. I was much more confident in the Raiders before Bryce Young's benching. Now I don't think Raiders. I'll let you make your pick, but I do think the Andy Dalton starting kind of affects, and you've already seen it kind of affects this game. It was Raiders are at -7. Now they're at -5.5.
I think -5.5 is a nice value here. I know Andy Dalton's a vet, and he's never lost to Raiders or something, but the Raiders offense got it going, and they got momentum, and the Panthers still suck. Who was it? I think Daniel Jeremiah said he's been covering the NFL and working in it for since 2003, and this is legit one of the worst rosters he's ever seen. And I don't think Andy Dalton's going to exactly save it. The Raiders are still a talented team, and I don't think the Panthers are going to give him any Gardner Minshew trouble. So if Gardner Minshew's not getting trouble, I think he's going to have a pretty solid game. And you're going to see Brock Bowers plays pretty good football. And you're going to see Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. I think the talent is such a huge gap. And I'm now officially on the Panthers. And now watch them do something stupid and win. but I got Raiders covering.
This is so Raiders. The one thing you could really and you expose the Panthers on everything. They're bad at everything, but their run defense is really terrible. But the Raiders have no run game to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very tempted to say Panthers cover here. I have Raiders winning. But I do think bringing in Andy Dalton actually changes things. I'm gonna say Raiders win. Man, if it was like 4.5, I'll just say Raiders cover. I'll say Raiders win and they cover. Andy Dalton kind of gives me reason to pause, but I'll take the points.
Okay.
Next game, Dolphins at Seattle. Seattle -5. Over-unders 41.5.
This line it was 6.5 yesterday. It was 5.5 before we recorded. So I'm gonna count this at 5.5 because it was 5. No, I'll just do the 5 because I keep.
I read the line at 5, so it's 5.
I know it's 5, but it was literally 5.5 when I wrote this down an hour ago.
I mean, 5 and 5.5. If it's still,
I know, but it went from 6.5 to 5, and I have Dolphins +5. I think that this will be an ugly one. I'm so close to picking Dolphins in an upset, but I just won't do it because in the end, just go Skylar Thompson, go Cats. Wow. But I think Seattle will win. I don't think Seattle's that good. I just don't. I mean, you beat New England in overtime, and you're about to lose, and then you got a BS pass interference call in overtime, and you beat Denver. You were down at half, and Bo Nix sucked in the second half. And yeah, they're not impressive at all. I don't care what you say; they're not impressive. They haven't done a single thing impressive. They beat Denver. New England.
Have the Dolphins done anything impressive? They struggled week 1.
They have Tyreek. I'm not saying they're great. I just think they'll cover.
They are a finesse team.
They can run the ball, and they still have 2 of the fastest receivers. I think they cover. Seattle's not that good.
I'm taking Seattle on the point. I think Seattle covers. I'm going to bet Seattle -5. If it goes to 4.5, I'm definitely taking it. I don't. You can have all the weapons you have. We saw how bad they looked. If you don't have a quarterback, your weapons are not going to look right.
But now he has a full game, and I think Mac McDaniel's going to turn it up. I think he's going to turn it up.
I think Seattle at home covers. There's not much explanation for me in this game. I'm going to take Seattle on the points. Next game, and this may actually be the most impactful game of the week. Ravens at Cowboys. The Ravens are actually favored by a point in this one.
I have Ravens, and I refuse to believe they'll go 0-3. And Dallas is not good enough, in my opinion, to stop that. I think it'll be close, but Ravens are not going 0-3.
There's a stat. It's like Lamar's like 21-1 or something against NFC teams. It's some kind of crazy stat. Like NFC teams struggle against Lamar. I think Dallas is really Ravens. I don't think have a great defense, but I think you zoned in on CeeDee Lamb in this one. I'm also going to take the Ravens, but the Cowboys.
They can win, but I refuse to think if Ravens are 0-3. I mean, that's nuts.
I don't think you can say that. I mean, they lost to Raiders at home, so
I know, but I'm just saying I don't think they'll be 0-3. I think that
I'm going to take Ravens too. I think they have a bad defense, or not a great defense, but you can take away CeeDee Lamb. Cowboys are so one-dimensional, so I'll take Ravens. Next game, we don't have to go over this one too much. 49ers at Rams. 49ers -7.5.
I mean, Rams are massacred. I know Niners are injured. Rams are massacred. I got Niners covering. They're going to have a bounce back. Run the ball well. Good Ayuk game. I got Niners -7.5.
Yeah, no Puka, no Cooper Kupp. You lost your safety. Offensive line's banged up. I'm taking 49ers and the points. Next game, and I'm very interested to see where you go on this one. Lions at Cardinals. Lions are -3.
I was so torn picking this one. Kyler looks good, and the Lions didn't look great. But if I know anything about football, that's the exact moment that you take the good teams that play really well. I like the Lions -3. think the offense can bounce back. They got to find the balance. You got to get your tight end involved, who's really good. Um, I think Amon-Ra will be fine. I think it'll be a good scoring game, maybe like 27-20 or something like that, 30-23. But give me the Lions here. I think they'll have a nice bounce back. But I am fully like, if it's 7-0 at the end of the first Cardinals, I'm like, yeah.
I was impressed with the Cardinals last week, but I think it's just such great value. Like I'm betting this
Yeah.
game as well. I'm taking Lions -3. They're clearly the better team. I think the Cardinals just played a banged up Rams team. I was still very impressed with the Cardinals, and I still think like offensively they'll be dangerous, but they're not a good defensive team. So I think Lions. This is the week Lions figure things out offensively. We'll see if Amon-Ra's playing. I think he plays. I think the Lions figure it out. This is the first week where things start really clicking for him. So I have the Lions in this one. Sunday night, Chiefs at Falcons. Chiefs -4.5. This is a game where very interesting because last night I think may have changed people's kind of perspective of Atlanta's offense just on that last like the whole game they weren't that good, but the last drive maybe that flipped a switch for them.
So I am literally changing my pick because I'm obviously picking Chiefs to win. But I was very torn on the spread, and I picked Chiefs spread at first, but looking back at it, I think I'm going Falcons +4.5. So I think this is a close game. Chiefs have won 2 close games so far. I think they'll win a third. Kirk Cousins looked better. The Falcons really ran the ball well yesterday or last night. And the passing game, obviously, 2-minute drill looked great. And so I think they'll cover. I think the Chiefs will have another one of those Chiefs wins where it's just like, yep, they win those games.
I agree with you. It may be one of those games where Chiefs win, but I had or like where it's like they figure out a way to win. But I think they cover. I think Atlanta showed me a lot last night. Well, it was definitely improved from week 1. But let's say they don't get that final drive, that final opportunity to do that.
I mean,
I don't think we're really looking at Atlanta as we're still. I think there'd be still like the question marks about their offense would still be pretty glaring. So,
but sometimes you just need that one drive.
I realize that, but I'm -4.5. Chiefs winning by just a little over a possession. I'm gonna take the Chiefs in the points.
Yeah, I literally flipped it right now. So understand.
We have two Monday night games, and I hate that the NFL does this. I really do. I'm not a fan of the doubleheader, especially when the games are kind of stacked on top of each other time wise.
It's so dumb.
First game, Jacksonville at Buffalo. Buffalo -5.5.
I mean, I like the Bills. I'm just going to continue to ride the Bills -5.5 here. I think they have the MVP of the league this year. I think the defense had a great bounce back game against Miami, even though they play Miami well a lot. But Jacksonville doesn't look that good, so I just don't trust Jacksonville. I like the Bills. -5.5 is pretty easy for me.
Yeah, we're in lockstep here. I also
I
have
feel like that's also a trap, but
it. Jacksonville is not.
everyone's going to bet
terrible.
Bills -5.5, which scares me.
The receivers for Buffalo have not. It's been Brian Thomas, and that's it.
No, I fully get it. My only fear is everyone's taking -5.5.
Christian Kirk has 2 catches all year, and Gabe Davis is Gabe Davis. This is easy for me. It's at Buffalo. They get 11 days.
That's why it's so scary.
11 days. I'll take the Bills.
I know, but that's why it's so scary because the 5.5.
Last game of the week. I think the only discussion here is the spread. Commanders at Bengals. Bengals -8. You think Commanders have a chance?
Yeah.
So you talked about you can't see Baltimore falling 0-3. I can't see the Bengals falling 0-3.
Oh, the Bengals, they fall early all the time, so I can 100%
they fall
see the
0-2.
Yeah, but you can lose that one more game. The Bengals are much easier to see than the Ravens. Like Joe Burrow can have bad wrist day. But I am taking Bengals, but I do like Commanders to cover. Jane Daniels, he looks pretty solid. Looks like the best rookie QB so far. A lot of that is aided by his legs, but he's not doing anything stupid. They're running the ball pretty well. So I think 8 points is a lot. Give me Commanders +8.
I think Higgins comes back this week at home. I like the Bengals and the points. Washington's defense is terrible.
No, yeah,
Like,
it's not good defense.
if
But
Bengals play anything remotely close to what they did this past week against the Chiefs, they're going to drop 30-plus points. And Commanders' offense, Cliff Kingsbury's not a good OC. Like, their scheme is not good. It's Dan Daniels goes through one read, and then if the read's not there, he takes off. So I like Bengals pretty. I like Bengals pretty big in this game. Anything else before? I know you have a busy day today, so that'll probably do it for our episode. But do you have anything else you want to?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, that will do it for our episode this week. Next week we'll talk about week 3. Maybe we'll do a fun segment. I don't know what the segment will be, but maybe we'll do something like that. But we'll also do week 4 predictions as well. But until then, make sure to subscribe, follow the YouTube, and also listen on Spotify.
Peace.